Welcome to the Betting Above the Rim podcast. Today's date, April 8th, episode 138. And let's get started with our tip-off topics with Gator comeback. What a job by the Florida Gators, who are down by double digits in the second half, to come back with a 65-63 win over the University of Houston in last night's national championship game. And it was a game that was really talked about really what Florida has been in the NCAA tournament, which is a team that did not ever play, in my opinion, their best basketball. But their ability to come back time after time after time, whether it was Maryland or Texas Tech or Auburn or obviously versus Houston, this Florida Gator team showed a lot of mettle in their ability to come back. And that's a mark of a champion. And we first have to give our congratulations to Todd Golden. Third year at the helm, came from the University of San Francisco, and has really turned the Florida Gators team into the dominant, possibly powerhouse that you saw what Billy Donovan did a little over a decade or 2 decades ago. And the way that they did it was really fascinating. If you look at the play of Walter Clayton Jr., who was the most outstanding player of the Final Four, obviously 34 or so points in his semifinal game versus Auburn, a completely different game. Walter Clayton Jr. did not shoot the ball well. I believe 3 of 10 from the floor, was forcing shots. But he found something getting into that wing ball screen action, and then he got himself to the foul line. And I thought what Todd Golden did, running those horn sets, just to explain people, if you look at a horn, right, this is how the signal is, right? You put these two guys at the elbow or the top or the lane line, top of the key, and you put two guys in the corner. They took Walter Clayton off the ball. They went high. They went, horns strong side, threw it to horn, rub screen, give it back, layup, and one. Then he went horns weak. When he threw it one side, he went the other way off a back screen from the elbow, and one. Then the pivotal one, horns rescreen, where he went over the top, rescreened it back for a big three. It was just such a smart job by Todd Golden. But to me, it was the play of their bigs did well. Obviously, Condon, Howe, Chinaloo. I know he got the technical foul. But what can you say about Richard hitting basically the only threes in the entire first half for either team? It was a great performance by them, but it was a disappointing end to a Houston team that had a tremendous comeback versus Duke. Everything they did right versus Duke, the stops, the big shots, everything went the other way. Questionable shots. Not getting to the free throw line, something that they did not do all year. Guys like Juwan Roberts shooting 3 for 13, LJ Cryer 6 of 18, Emmanuel Sharp 2 of 11. They struggled and they hung on for dear life. If the game was probably 37 minutes, they would have won. But that's not the college basketball world. It's a game of 40 minutes. What a job by Florida in that 65-63 win. We'll get into next topic in our award tour, where we'll look at the future odds for next year's national champion. Speaking of national champions, the Huskies are back. And what a resounding 85-59 win by UConn, easily covering the 6.5, 7.5 point spread. And to me, I'm not shocked they won it. If you listen to me on this podcast or anytime on Sports Grid, I told everyone that could listen that this team was going to win the national championship. And what a way to end the career of Paige Beckers. I don't know if she's in that Mount Rushmore of UConn greats, because Gino's had a ton of them. But she could be the most important. This was the longest drought that Gino has had since he won his first national championship in 1995 with players like Rebecca Lobo and Jen Rosati. So this was extra gratifying for Gino winning number 12. And Paige Beckers, who was the best player in the country, coming out of high school. Think about this freshman, the class that they had coming in. She was number one over Angel Reese, over Cameron Brink, over Caitlin Clark. She was the number one player. And she was the number one freshman in the country when she took UConn to a championship game and then dealt with injuries. She worked her way back. So did AZ Fudd, who was another fantastic high school player that missed all of last year for knee injuries, and they slowly worked AZ back. And when I told people when she went off for 28 against South Carolina, that's when I knew. I know I said in January, but I knew for a fact they were going to win the national championship come that day. That's also the day that they became the favorites. What a performance by UConn and the totality of their parts. It's more than Beckers. It's more than AZ Fudd. It's Sarah Strong, the best freshman in the country, Allison Feaster's daughter, with monster numbers during the Final Four. It's a play of Chen, the transfer from Princeton, who did a phenomenal job. What a job by Gina Auriemma and the UConn Lady Huskies winning their 12th national title. Let's stay in the women's game, and according to a lot of reports, Olivia Miles is transferring from Notre Dame to TCU. This is not stunning to me at all. There were rumblings that she was maybe going into the portal because, she won next year eligibility. I want to stop something right now. I know of this kid. This was not about the money. Okay? Is she going to get NIL money? Of course she is. This kid is extremely smart. She's graduating from Notre Dame. She also wanted to go back to a system where she was the point guard. They played her off the ball with Hannah Hidalgo. Take that what you want. But I've told people, Mark Campbell, Xavi Lopez, point guard you. Go look at the track record. From Marte and obviously Ionescu at Oregon to the player of the year at Sacramento State to what they did with Haley Van Lith. You watch what they do with Olivia Miles in that offense. And there's going to be more. There's more players that are probably coming down the pipe for TCU. Right now, they're 30-1 to win the national championship for the women's. I already took my ticket. We'll talk about that a little bit more, why I did so. Let's go to the NBA really quickly, where breaking news, literally right before we came on air, is the Denver Nuggets and a huge shakeup just fired Calvin Booth, their general manager, and Michael Malone. A Michael Malone that a couple of years ago won an NBA championship. Why do you ask? They're on a 4-game losing streak. They're tied for 4th, which is also tied for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th in the Western Conference. Nikola Jokic is could have been the MVP. He had a 61-point triple-double, and they lost. Could this be panic by Denver? Maybe. But they had to do something. Could they have waited till after the season? Maybe. But the way they were playing, they had to do something. Time will tell if this was the right move for Denver, and if it wasn't, who could get traded? One person you know it's not going to be is Nikola Jokic. Coming up next after the commercial break, we'll get into our award tour. We're going to look at the future odds for the 2026 men to win the national championship, and we'll also look at the 2026 women. We'll be back with our award tour after this commercial break. Welcome back to the Betting Above the Rim podcast, episode 138, and it's time to get into our war tour where we look at the future markets. And what better way to do today with the wrap-up of the 2025 season than look at the future for the 2026 season, which FanDuel released last night, basically as soon as the game went final. As of this morning, Duke is the leader in the clubhouse at 10-1. Houston 12-1. Louisville and Purdue 14-1. Kansas, BYU 16-1. Arkansas, Auburn, UConn, Alabama 18-1. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this. My advice to you is I would stay away from teams that could have major roster changes, meaning guys going into the portal now, them looking at the portal, or teams that have a lot of guys that can go pro. So when you pull back up that list, Duke's got 3 guys that are going to probably be top 10 draft picks, and obviously Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, and Molly Watch. Now, could some crazy thing like Cooper Flagg come back? Yeah, because he loves Duke. I don't think he's going to give up the $75 million. Houston, UConn, gone. Cryer, gone. Roberts, gone. Francis, I do believe, is gone as well. Right? So they have turnover, even though they have 3 of the top 20 players, according to ESPN, in the country coming in. Louisville's intriguing because of who they brought in, but the portal, but I'm worried about teams working in. There's a guy named Evan Miyakawa. Guys, you got to follow this. You got to follow Evan. And hopefully he hears this and gives me a shout out because I always try to pull what he says. He said in the last 4 years, the national championship team have had at least 50% of their minutes return. Think about that. So when you go down the line, imagine you can pull it back up. Where am I looking first? Purdue, 14-1. Why? They could have one of, if not the best backcourt in the country, and Braden Smith and Fletcher Loyer return. Wait, what? They're still in college? Yes, I know, Braden Smith with the beard, a.k.a. looks like the brawny man, a lumberjack. Yeah, he's still got a year left. Now, he could get the bag and go somewhere else. I think he goes back to Purdue. But it's more than just Smith and Loyer. It's C.J. Cox at 6 points per game. It's Trey Kaufman-Renn, who had a huge season. They get Oscar Clough to transfer out of South Dakota State. But then there's Daniel Jacobson, who was a big-time McDonald's All-American at high school, got hurt, missed the majority of the year. If I'm putting a ticket on any team right now, one of them, I'm putting on Purdue. So where else am I looking, right? Think about what I said about teams that are returning a lot. Folks, look at Arkansas. Cal's always better year 2, okay? They were better down the stretch. And if you look at if Wagner, Knox, and Brazil come back, that's 3 starters. Now it comes down to Aduthiero and Boogie Flan. That could all depend on where they are in the draft process. Are they first-round picks, or are they more second-round guys and they want to run it back? Arkansas is 18-1. And one or both of those guys come back, they're going to be near 10-1. They'll be near the top of the board. So that's why I think Arkansas is a team you want to play. Another team, 2 teams not on the board to look at, that you want to look at, St. John's, UCLA. St. John's because of obviously Rick Pitino, what he can do. Wiltshire back. Etchafor back. And then getting the transfer from Arizona State and obviously getting Bryce Hopkins. That 4-5 Etchafor-Hopkins duo is going to be a nightmare for teams if Bryce Hopkins can stay healthy. And then for UCLA, getting Devontae Dent, one of the best transfer, one of the top point guards in the portal, maybe the best, and bring back 4 starters. Second year in the Big Ten for Mick Cronin. They'll be more adjusted to that style. Take a look at them. And then don't sleep lastly on Alabama. Aiden Holloway will be back. Wrightel will be back. Darian Reed will be back. Jerron Stevenson will be back. And then they got the transfer Noah Williamson for Bucknell. So there are a couple of teams to look at, but better off probably waiting until the portal madness ends. Let's go to the women's side, where South Carolina is the leader in the clubhouse at plus 390, followed by UConn, same price. UCLA 6-1, Texas the same. LSU, USC 9-1 along with Notre Dame, 19-1 for Duke, 25-1 for Tennessee, and 30-1 for TCU. Okay, so where are we going? Obviously, you have to look at UCLA with the fact of their entire rotation is going to be back. Lauren Betts is going to be there. Kiki Rice is going to be there. Sienna Betts, Lauren's sister, is going to be there. They're going to have a depth. They're going to have a lot back. So that's why you can understand UCLA. South Carolina, I got to see what's going to happen. It's got to be about the development of Joyce Edwards and Malaysia Fawali. I've talked about Malaysia being misused. Watch out, does she go into the portal? UConn, I mean, what can you say? Sarah Strong coming back, KK Honor, AZ Fudd, right? They should be there as well. Obviously, Madison Booker at Texas. But the team that I'm going to tell you to look out for, tell you right now, is TCU. Mark my words. They're going to have more depth. You think, and this is no disrespect to Haley Van Lith, Olivia Miles is a better player than Haley Van Lith. Okay? The transfer that they picked up out of Texas is an absolute stud, game changer that could be very important for what happens there. And I got a feeling TCU's not done. They will be deep, they will be better, and they will make a run towards a national championship. Coming up next, we'll go to our scouting report with, I guess we'll talk about the NBA. We ain't got no more college basketball. So we'll break down Lakers versus Mavs. We'll break down Miami and Chicago and a couple other games with our scouting report after this commercial break. Welcome back to the Betting Above the Rim podcast, episode 138, and it's time to get into our scouting report. We preview the best games in college and pro basketball. We'll stick to the pros because college is done, and we'll start off with a couple of big matchups on Wednesday. First, starting off with Luka heads home. Luka Doncic heads to Dallas to take on Klay Thompson. I guess it's the only person we can claim. Can't claim Kyrie. We don't know if AD's going to play. So we'll claim Klay Thompson and the Dallas Mavericks. And if you look at this game, you really have two teams that are going in somewhat opposite directions. Lakers winners of 4 of their last 5 games, including that rout of Oklahoma City. We'll see what happens tonight. They won't be on the second leg, I do believe, of a back-to-back versus a Dallas Mavericks team that's lost 3 of their last 5 games. So it sets up a very interesting dilemma for a Lakers team. Let's be honest, folks, coming off a back-to-back where I'm going to say there's a pretty good chance they lose. They're big underdogs tonight, Tuesday night versus the Thunder. This is going to be a get-back spot for the Lakers in a game in which you have a team that's really not playing well. We don't know who's going to be in the lineup, and you're going to see a Luka Doncic motivation. If you are able to find player performance doubles, Luka Doncic double-double, Lakers to win. Should be able to find yourself hopefully somewhere near even money because I do think the spread is going to be rather big. Big, and I'm talking sneaky big matchup in the NBA is Miami versus Chicago. Why do you ask? Because right now at record time, the Bulls are 9th and the Heat are 10th, and the Bulls are 1 game behind Atlanta and Miami's 2 games behind them. So this becomes a pivotal game for these teams in regards to you're going to be in the play-in tournament because the top 6 seeds are already set in the Eastern Conference. You want to put yourself, if you could, at 7 or 8, where you only have to play 1 game. But if you're 9 or 10, you get the home game. So where do I look? Go with the team that I think is playing basketball overall, even though they're both 7 out of their last 10. Because it's in Chicago, I'm taking the Bulls on the money line. Big matchup for New York versus Detroit. New York with 1 more win will clinch the 3 seed versus who they may play in the playoffs in the 6 seed in Cade Cunningham in Detroit. This is what you do. You wait this game out. And you wait to see what happens with New York in their game tonight. This is a Thursday game. So wait for the game tonight or tonight versus Boston. If the Knicks win and clinch the 3, I think Tibbs may sit some guys or play them less minutes, then go the other way and take Detroit. This is a Detroit team that may give the Knicks fits. I'll be honest with you, I want them to get the 5 because I'd rather play the Bucks. Last game. Minnesota, Memphis. Memphis still in turmoil of firing Taylor Jenkins. Minnesota, this game is big. Why? We just talked about Michael Malone being fired. Ready? Do you know that Denver, Clippers, Warriors, Timberwolves, Memphis all have 32 losses? So this is a way to get out of the play-in game. I like the way I've seen out of the Minnesota Timberwolves, winners of 5 straight, 7 out of their last 10. Memphis has won 2 games in a row, but I'm going to go with a chance here, and I'm going to take the points and take the Minnesota Timberwolves on the money line. Let's get to our buzzer beater topic, and it was an anticlimactic women's tournament and a great men's tournament, but there's something that needs to be changed, and that's the start time. I understand that they drew 18 million fans last year for the Women's National Championship. That was because of 2 words, Caitlin Clark. Matt brought up a big point. It's an ABC broadcast. They have Sunday Night Baseball. I don't care. They outdrew MLB this year. Start the game at 7 p.m. If you want to start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, push baseball back to 8 o'clock, run it that way. Therefore, the women get there. Men, other side. Started at about 9 o'clock. I'm dead tired from working last night. Move that game up to 8 o'clock. Women, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Men, move it up to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This has been your Betting About the Rim podcast, episode 138. For all things sports gambling, download the Sports Grid app, pregame, in-game, postgame, props, predictions, and more. For my producer, Matty George, Vinny with the graphics. Thanks for listening, folks. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Good night.